So the content here is related to both politics and spiritual movement, which we all feel as we grow, and composition, and also physical movement. So we're going to begin over in the corner. Oh, and did you know that this is our 44th exhibit? That is so amazing, actually. I can't believe it. But when you count the numbers, that's what it is. It includes probably 3 or 4 EcoArts shows. But hey, 40 exhibits in this little space here. What an awesome thing. What an awesome difference we've made together here in Lake County. It's just amazing. And while I have your attention, I want to let you know about 2 big events that are coming up next weekend. One is the weaving workshop with Corinne Pierce, not to be missed, but space is limited, so register right away, and you can find information about that on our website. And the other one, and this one like really is stealing my heart, and I mean in a big, big way. It's called Indigenizing 21st Century Art. And that will be presented by artist and assistant professor Jacob Metters. And that will be about a 2-hour-long presentation, including some questions and answers where we're going to get exposed to some really awesome contemporary indigenous art. And I am so excited about that. And it is also setting the ground for the exhibit that we'll be putting on as part of the Weaving project, Weaving, a contemporary indigenous art exhibit, where we're bringing in work from artists from places other than just around here. And so we're extremely excited to not only have this workshop coming up and the presentation, which is really, my heart would jump out of my shirt if that were possible, but also all the following events and activities connected to the Weaving project. In February, there'll be a fire ecology presentation and panel. And at the end of January, there will be storytelling. This is an awesome opportunity for all of us to learn more about the people who have always been here, who are still here. And with that in mind, I want to acknowledge the people who have always been here, who are still here, the Pomo, Miwok, and Winton people, and to acknowledge the fact that we are operating on their lands, and that the work that we do is just the beginning of all the work that has to be done. And there is other work being done in many places, including at the DeYoung Museum at this very moment, where there is an exhibit about the Elam Pomo Indians who live right here around Clear Lake. So with all of that, I want to again welcome you to the Move exhibit. It's awesome. I want to also thank the board, the president, Amanda Martin, my special colleague and advisor, Sabrina Klein, the curatorial team that helped make this happen, Ruth Richards, Darina Simeonova, and Monty Black, who also, Monty Brill, who also assisted us, whose work we're going to see in just one moment. And the board of directors of MAC, who support and help sustain the work of the MAC on a regular basis. So please join me in seeing the Move exhibit. And let's go over to see Monty's work in the corner. Monty, Shelley, excuse me. Okay, so this one, while you have a virtual show that you can look at in between my talking, this one we weren't able to record on video because it doesn't mix as well with the virtual 3D tour. So you can see it now on video. Monty, how does this thing work?
Well, there's a pump at the bottom and it sends water up 2 pipes that go into the bottom of each wine bottle, and they slowly fill. And then when they get full enough, the top gets heavier and they dump out like a Japanese bamboo deer scarer.
So tell us more about the deer scare and how that influenced you, because actually the deer scare aspect of this, you know, on the one hand, tell us more about the deer scare and how that influenced you. One second, because actually we live in wine country, right? And so there's an element of place here. And also we all, we're all trying to do a little bit of sustainable agriculture around here, hopefully more than just a little. So the deer scare idea is actually really relevant. So tell us a little more about that.
Well, it's my favorite kinetic sculpture, those deer scarers. The Japanese have been doing it for thousands of years. That and the little bird, the red bird that pecks the water. I don't know how those work. Does anyone know? But I wanted to make a wine-based sculpture fountain, and I wanted some interesting movement. And I studied the bamboo things and replicated the physics of that into a wine bottle.
Okay, so tell me, how did you figure out the physics? So was that easy for you? And wait for me to pass it to you. Because we all want to know about this. Tell us about the physics. The physics. How did you figure that out?
I did a rough model in wood and copper pipes. It was really ugly, but I kept moving balance points and adding weights and kept messing with different methods of getting the water into the bottle, and finally ended up going for this setup here. So it just took a while to get all the dimensions just right, but it ended up, I wanted to make it as simple and understandable as possible.
It is indeed. Okay, so for all the folks here, isn't this awesome? And it's so much fun. Isn't it like fun to like also hear inside the gallery, not only to see this, which is fun and awesome. And actually we had replicated this little hexagon or sextagon here on the floor originally, but we sort of changed that for liability reasons.
Did you say sextagon?
Sextagon.
Oh.
6 sides. And so, but anyway, this piece is so awesome. And I know and whenever you come here, like to come inside from outside and hear the water inside, like it not only operates on a visual level and a fun level, because it is fun, and a curious level, and what those are just like such awesome things to awaken inside us, but also it operates on this level of sound, right?
Yes, the
Yeah.
sound is great.
Yeah.
It's always changing.
Yeah.
The top makes a different sound than the bottom, and I just like staring at it.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah, totally awesome. And so like with that, it's like, that's my plug. Come see the show. I mean, you should come anyway,
Come
but
on
you
down.
especially want to come because your senses will be tickled. Your senses will be tickled. Okay.
Thanks, Lisa.
Yeah, thank you, Monty. Okay, from here, we're going to look at Michael Vargas's work. Michael, is Michael here? Okay, so we'll start on this wall here. Okay. Being very careful because of the Michael, what I'd ask you to do is to hold this in your hand after I ask you questions, and we'll pass it back and forth, okay? Okay, so Michael has 2 pieces along this wall and also in the hallway. Michael, tell us about the imagery in this work.
Well, my most of my art is based in my Afro-Cuban traditions. You know, in this case, it's happening like a lot of movement here around. If you can see this figure here, it's like a kind of like a big figure with a snake around. So it for me represent more like whatever you want to believe in this life. You know, whatever you want to believe. And this is also here different cultures at the same time believe in whatever they believe. So it's coming, I trying to bring like a more like the unity, whatever people believe and whatever, no matter if you have a spiritual practicing or not, you know, it's more like the connection with nature, you know, because a lot to learn from, and we are like really far away from it.
Okay, tell us about the arrow here in the middle, because it's a very and the arrow going through the eye. Tell us about the imagery here.
Well, here, this is kind of like what we will call like a spirits, or kind of like a specific, whatever energy. And this person is kind of like doing like a breaking, like for whatever bad situation is around you, like a, for example, I believe like we all of us are like a map, like a whole map. When this map come all the numbers come, from like a mess because we are not thinking in the proper way. You are maybe too worried or too stressed. So then this map that you are come like a totally mess. So you have to in some way to heal and bring back all the map that you are back. So for me, this represents this, this connection.
The math you're saying? The math that you
No, when I mean math, it's like a mathematics.
Mathematics, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
Very
these symbols could be like this kind of mathematics that you are, and this person is like helping to clean up this energy and put everything in order. So also here, if you see here in Cuba, very mixed. We are because we were colonized by Spain and also a lot of different from Asia, native Indian people from there. If you can see here, we have this native Indian from Cuba. This is other person from other whatever practicing here too. So yeah, this is what I'm trying to.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. And it's called Fundament, and it's $4,000. I'm.
Yeah.
And so can you tell us why you call it Fundament? Because I know it has to do with the fundamental nature of humanity somehow. Can you just speak to that just for a moment?
Yeah. Well, fundament for me is the base. It's the base of whatever way that you are connected with your own life and the nature around you and everything around you. So for me, this is what it means fundament, the essence
Yeah, nature.
of the connection with nature.
Yeah.
So,
Cool. Thank you so very much.
it's a
Okay,
pleasure.
let's talk. Do we want to talk about, I think it's called Feminine, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, this one there is part of the whole collection that I have. This one is about feminine and female side, whatever. No matter what gender you are, if you are a male or a woman, we all have a male side. A male side, sorry. So this one brings to open, this connection with this side of yourself and also with nature, because most of the time I believe like women are more connected because they are like they has been so repressed for so many for so long, like they find other ways to keep open and survive, and be connected with nature and life.
Thank you so much, Michael. Michael is pretty much new to the gallery. This is the second show he's participated in, and we're so grateful to have him with us. We're going to look at Judy's work, and there are several examples, and they're dispersed throughout the exhibit here. So we're going to go in the small gallery and have a look at a piece that's made up of multiple panels. Actually, we're not going to go in the small gallery because I just realized that all these people won't fit in there. Michael, there's a green piece there right by Monty's that you can focus on. The problem is that if Judy and I stand here by Monty's, we're going to hear a whole lot of water. Yeah, this one is Judy's. So I think that what we want to do is just go here. And forgive us for like trying to navigate all of the little parts. Thank you so much, Monty. That's so kind of you. Okay, Judy, come on over here. Okay, and I know that that you said that there was something that you wanted to speak to this evening.
Yes, primarily fear, my fear, my fear of speaking in public. So I wrote a few things out to describe my art process and why I paint and how I arrive at the final examples. And I paint the pain. I paint the grief. I paint out loud to give voice to the child who was seen and never heard. I paint on purpose. I paint on accident. I paint to be present. I paint to disappear. I paint to remind myself I'm here. I paint to connect, to touch, to give. I paint because God gave me the will to live, and now I live to paint. And so my secret garden is painting. My private retreat beyond the fear, a vessel for each tear. And art is my God space where authenticity lives and intention is clear. The subject of move, our theme, that is my intention, and it was with all these paintings. And it's a process that develops from an intuitive place. I move on, but the greener pastures are just as blue. I move away just to find the me I left behind. I move through, but the grief just changes hue. I move over and just let art and spirit move from me to you. And so that my process is daily painting on 6 to 12 panels every paint session. And I move through one stage to another, beginning with play, explore, and then clarify. And I arrive at something that tells me a story, and hopefully the viewer will receive a message of something, either, you know, expressing your moving emotions, spirituality, or just an outlet for creativity. And I hope to inspire others with my art. And that's all I got.
Thank you, Judy. Thank you so much for sharing. And so Judy has pieces throughout the exhibit, and you should really come down, please, not should, I don't want to use that word, but I highly recommend that you come down and see her work and enjoy it, because there's many, many, many parts. Michael, if we could just go briefly into the small studio and prepare for Emily Scheibel. Did I see you here, I think? Emily Scheibel will be next. So her work is right there. Okay. So this right here is one of Judy's pieces. You can see the movement that she was talking about. You can see the contrast as well, the rhythm, and also the variety in all of these. It's such poetry, and I highly recommend that you come see it. Would you like to speak about this a little bit?
I would. I painted this one to music, actually, and it was Maria Mulder's song, Soul of a Man. And I mostly just let the music take the brush and go from panel to panel. That was it.
Thank you so much, Judy. Thank you. Thank you. Really, again, Judy has pieces in several locations in the gallery. We just showed you two of the main ones. And right now from there, we're going to look at Emily Scheibel's work in bronze called Nike 2, finished in 2021. And Emily is a dear friend of mine. And so I'm going to just first invite Emily to tell us what she wants to tell us, but I also want to point out the extreme contrast between wings and bronze. So let's just start with that.
Hey, I'm Emily Scheibel, and I did not have anything so poetically prepared as Judy did. Very beautiful. Anyway, it's the contrast more for me, more through my body of work that this is just the process of arriving to the bronze. And then also this piece in general opened up more from the more linear pieces that I had been doing for about 5 years. Traditionally, I was doing these more erect kind of totem style pieces. And then I started to mimic this movement of leaves coming up through the ground, kind of springtime bulbs, that kind of idea. And as I played around with those images, I kind of arrived to this piece. Is actually, when I created it, was twice as big. So the process of this bronze piece, for me as an artist, is my first piece I had cast in bronze. So that's for me. It's just that kind of process with the material. But when I created this, it was in plaster, and it's twice as big. And most of my work in general, I don't have a specific intention and a specific plan, but I start with these hardwire cloth armatures and start to batch by batch of plaster build up the pieces. So when I started this, I did actually have the intention of creating that very famous winged victory piece, very famous Greek sculpture, the headless, winged piece. But I wanted an abstract version of that, because my heroes are Brancusi and Louis Bourgeois, and I like to simplify and clarify and kind of cut away of all of it to highlight negative and positive space and such. I am going to kind of grab it and turn it, because I think that there's so many views here with the piece, to really get all the different cracks and crevices of the piece. I probably should have some gloves so the oil in my hands don't tarnish it, but it's mine, so I'm gonna just go for it. But it's really heavy, and but anyway, I wanted to mimic the drapery, and it was more about the drapery and the movement than the light feathery wings of winged Nike. But I'm gonna kind of end with that, and I messed up Lisa's very nice white pedestal. But so for me, this is about movement. For me personally, as an artist, kind of breaking out of that stationary, solid, straight place, and opening up, and then the movement of winged victory. So for me, that's where this is, that place of departure for more. But thank you very much. Thanks, Lisa. Who's next? Or we'll pause. Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to move to Julia Feldman next, but to give Julia just a moment to prepare for this, I want to just look at Karen Turcotte's piece right over here. It's called Men on Hills. And I'm going to read what she prepared for me. She couldn't be with us this evening. So the use of hills and the dominations of peoples remains as powerful today as it has throughout history. The Egyptians created their man-made hills, the pyramids. The Greeks placed their most sacred temple, the Parthenon, atop the tallest hill of Athens. The Caesars of Rome resided in palaces atop the Capitoline Hill. Armageddon means we'll gather on the hill above Megiddo to strike the enemy. In modern times, we can talk about Hamburger Hill, San Juan Hill, among many others. Today, the geography is no longer necessary when we describe the most powerful hill in the world, Capitol Hill. And so if you zoom out, actually, Michael, so that we can have this whole wall. Okay, so you can see that the way that this was curated was to include issues that are both universal and political. Actually, I'll just for a moment, I'll recognize my piece, who will be our leaders. And this part is just the boy. So the boy in this piece is the leader. And in this piece, which included two figures, there was an elder person behind him, but he's the one who's making the decisions. And Jackson, as you're standing there, I just want to say, Jackson is maybe 18, 17 years old. I'm sorry to lay the responsibility on your shoulders, my friend, but I anticipate that the next generation is going to be smarter than us, and I sure hope they are. So you have so much at your fingertips. But he is leading the way. The youngers are leading the way. This is made out of earth clay, harvested. I don't know, in my backyard, probably I harvest from a lot of different places, just the earth that's here, mixed with straw. which is cob. And cob is how you build homes. And we all know what home means. And we all know like what the significance is of home in our current environmental or ecological situation. You know, my personal home burned, but I'm one of a community of people whose home burned in the Valley Fire. And we know that the ecological ramifications, what's happening in the ecology today is real, and it's tragic, and it's intense, and we need to do a little more. Anyway, in this sculpture, there's a man behind him who doesn't know where he's going, but he's holding out his outstretched hand and showing him the way to go. This is where we can be saved. This is where we can find our next place of refuge. So that's what the youngers will lead us, and I believe that, and I trust them. And I want to trust them. Summer, where are you over there? You too. And this is and my own son as well, and all of the youngers. It's like we've left them a lot to help us with, to continue generations after generations. And I think that they have more tools. They have some really good tools to use. So the youngers will lead us, and it's made out of earth because I'm talking about the earth. So that's my piece. Then we're going to move to Julia Feldman, who's on Zoom, which is why I wanted to give a little bit of time to transition. Summer, are you ready? Yep. Okay. Julia, what can you tell us about this piece, Unclipped Wings?
Well, as with most of my pieces, it addresses ecological tragedies as well as
Can we
the
turn it up?
hopeful solutions.
Is the audience here?
So can you hear?
Hold
Is it
on,
okay?
we're waiting to see if we can get the audience here to be able to hear. There we go. This is me. Is Julia
Hi.
available?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Can I take your computer for a moment? All right. Wait. 1 second, technical.
Okay. Not a problem.
Okay. I'm just gonna hold Julia's computer. Okay. Julia, what can you tell us about the work here?
The work addresses ecological tragedies as well as hopeful solutions, as all my work does. It's made out of found objects, leftover fabrics, metal, things that are forgotten, and I hope bring back to life. I show both the inside and the outside of the creature, and this way I'm working towards you seeing kind of what's happening, and that they're living, they're breathing, they were. This one is addressing things that we can change. There's a few doves and pigeons, surprisingly enough, that we could lose, but we can actually change their habitat and stop hunting them and stuffing them and bring them back to life. We lost the passenger pigeon because we were unconscious that something that was so plentiful could just disappear forever. But it did, and it wasn't that long ago. So this bird is just to give us hope. And is there, it's made out of just part of it's old leftover tablecloth and threads and wires, and the tag hanging on it would be the sort of tag you'd find inside a drawer if you were at a science museum. You could pull it out and it says the species name, and this one has 1 foot because I'm assuming a cat got it. Yeah, and a little story about where it was found.
Yeah.
So that's
Yes,
okay.
thank you, Julia. We're gonna try and get to the owl now.
Okay.
So you all can see the owl in the corner there.
Okay.
Julia, what can you tell us about the owl?
The owl is called the laughing owl, known for its shrieks that sounded kind of like crazed laughter in New Zealand. And this one is extinct. In 1914, we saw the last laughing owl. And it's because settlers just moved in, cleared all their habitat, hunted, brought in cats and other predators, and the species was still gone. So we don't get it back. And it also has its tag from, the museum tag that talks about it. People also collect birds, put them in museums and cabinets, and don't let them fly. So,
Right, tagged, and also interesting how, like, when we're even trying to help species, we kind of tag them
right.
to
we do.
track them.
Mhm.
Thank you
But
so
this-
much, Julia.
Okay, thank you.
Was there anything else you wanted to add?
Nope, if you have any questions, just,
Does anyone have any questions for Julia?
Are most of the materials found objects or just like a accumulation through the years of objects?
they're both. They're on scraps and things I find outside and things that just sort of come my way. But, they're stuffed. The three-dimensional stuffing part is this new cotton packing that's coming as people have realized they should quit using popcorn to pack packages.
Hopefully that realization will continue.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Julia.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. We're gonna move inside the smaller gallery. We can't all fit there. I'm gonna ask Ruth Richards to tell us about the laws of women. So Michael, what I would say is, how about, so you all can come and see the laws of women are the prints against the wall over here. And I would ask you all to come in after we finish talking, like to keep distancing, because it's just what we need to do now. And so, Ruth, what can you tell us about this piece, The Laws of Women? And I know that you mentioned Zapatista, and there is information here on the wall that you can come and read when you come. And I asked Ruth definitely to put this piece in the exhibit, in this exhibition, because it is a kind of movement. It's movement and it's liberation for women. It's a step forward for us and our rights and responsibilities as well.
So the laws of women are 10 laws that the Zapatista women said needed to be met by the men in the National Liberation Army if the women were going to fight with them. And they're basic laws about how women, human rights for women, from education to health to having the right to marry who they want, have as many or as few children as they want. And their words really moved me. I was really, really inspired by the words. I'm an illustrator. I do other artwork too, but I'm really moved by people's words, and I wanted to have their words in the artwork. It's so important. Just the simple that women have the right to work and receive a fair salary. That just, all these laws are just so important to me. My work's really simple. I try to reduce the images just a contrast between the light and the dark, positive and negative shapes. And just these rules are put down to the essential basics too. And I don't know, I don't have much else to say besides that. The work, for me speaks for itself. They were done on the computer. They were generated in Illustrator, then printed out. I just really liked working with the computer at that time. So it works for me.
It says here the gathering coincided with the 26th anniversary of the Zapatistas uprising against the Mexican state. So are these laws from now approximately 28 years old, 29 years old? something like
Yes,
that?
yes, the laws are like 28 years old, and a lot of them have to do with violence against women, and women are still fighting for these things all around the world. Part of these have become part of the United Nations rights for women. You'll see a similarity and overlap, except for these women are also really, they want to fight, they want to be in the military. That's important.
Yeah, and you can buy this series on archival paper for $700. And Ruth is also publishing a book because the laws of women are so important that everybody should own a copy. Seriously. Okay, let's have a look right here while we're here at Casey Burton's work. And I'm going to read what Casey gave me to read, which is fabric has comforted me throughout my life, and its value come from the experiences the material has lived through. I feel connected to my loved ones while working with the material that they would wear often, covering their bare body. I use clothing from my past life, the life of my grandparents, parents, friends, and strangers. I started my studio experience as a painter, so when I found clay, I thought about the ephemerality of the material. How can I work with it without firing? To stay connected to painting, to use the material in its raw form, to create paintings that can be documented, washed away, and recreated as time passes. The work documents moments in my life. It is a timeline. It is my identity. The vessel over here, because there's a vessel here as well. The vessel was fired in a train kiln for 3 days. Casey is a resident over at Cobb Mountain Art and Ecology Project with Scott Parody. And you've seen work from other artists from the Cobb Mountain Art and Ecology Project. And we invited her to take over a part of the wall and create a piece for this exhibit, Move. Really come and enjoy it here because it's way more moving, we'll just say, in person than just seeing on the screen. But you can see how many aspects there are and all the different kinds of garments and textures and materials and colors and also materials. And personally, I also really identify with this use of clay as an ephemeral material. I don't, yes, I did mention that my work was harvested from mud, and the clay, the earth in Lake County is full of clay. It's not pure clay, and you have to do some processes to it, but also at Cobb Mountain Art and Ecology Project, there have been people who've come up to work with Scott who've harvested and prepared the clay as it should be for potters. Anyway, there is another part to Casey's work, Michael, if you would follow me, that we decided to incorporate. We asked her to install. So, Michael, so if you look at the wall over here, you can see a piece by Judy that we didn't see before called What a Pretty Little Bird. And these are $4.50 each. And then another piece that we added by Casey which is called Hands. Oh, by the way, the other piece was called Te in I Love You. And this one is called Hands. And we added this to basically break up the space and do something different. We're always trying to do different things here over at MAC. On this wall over here, Michael, if you just follow me while we're here. We have a work called Blustering at the Shore by Sage Abella, monotype print and ink on paper. It's a lovely piece. We have Moving Towards Extinction by Karen Magnuson. And we have Sunset Gold by Anne Ducrot. And yeah, we worked to make this wall all fit together. And then Michael, you can pivot and go in here. And we're going to look at work by Becky Jaffe. Okay, Becky, are you still online? Yeah. Okay, Becky, we'd love to hear about your work. I'm going to keep it simple because of the limitations of technology, but Becky has two pieces here. They both involve birds and birds in motion, right here and here. I want to add that the wild geese here are printed on stone. And Becky, tell us more, because actually this stone comes from Israel, you told me. So just tell us more about that, please.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Thanks for organizing and curating this so beautifully. This piece, I'm often looking for a kind of opposition in my work or a tension. And here the tension is between the flight of the birds, the Canada geese in motion, and the heaviness, the gravity of the stone. And so the piece is called Levity and Gravity. And I like the sense of both being above the earth and being grounded in the earth at the same time, which was what I was after here. So I took the photograph by panning using my DSLR camera. And then I had it printed on stone from Israel with Sierra Images, and sort of pick this stone to pick up some of the hues that are in the image. So I hope you enjoy it.
Thank you so much. We're very happy to have you with us, Becky. And
Thank you.
Michael's going to come down this way. And we're going to go to Graham's work over here in the corner near the fountain. So we need to pull the plug on the fountain briefly again. Graham, you're up. So Graham, this is actually a piece that I was familiar with of Graham's that I asked him to bring to this show because I thought it was very appropriate. And I'd like you all to notice the scale of the shoes compared to the homes below. Graham, what can you tell us about this piece?
Well, many, many years ago, when I was in my 20s, I purchased a pair of red fabric loafers, which I thought were really, really nice. One night, I went for a walk near my house, and I was about 2 miles or so away, and it started raining. And it rained, and it rained, and I got completely soaked to the skin, and my shoes got completely soaked. And it turns out that they weren't very durable and that they just completely fell apart by the time I had gotten home. And this memory had stayed in my mind for many, many years. And a few years ago, I purchased a series of canvases to do a multiple piece painting. And I was standing there looking at the blank canvases and thinking about what I should do. And then the memory of the red shoes popped into my mind. And I went from there, and here it is.
So I'm sorry if I missed it because I was doing a little technical. What is the difference in scale about specifically?
The focus was on the shoes and the legs itself. And that when I did the initial drawing, that's what I really worked on. And then I stood back from it and I looked at it, and then I remembered walking around in the area which had this like small industrial park near where I lived, and that came back in my memory, and that's what the background represents.
Yeah, it's really compelling. Also, why 4 panels? Is there a reason for that?
Well, the reason was I wanted to do a multiple panel piece of work, and I just went to the art supply store and I bought 4 panels.
They're the same size.
Yeah, and I had no idea what I was going to do with them. And then I had them lined up on the wall. And I was looking at them, and then the idea of my wet shoes from when I was in my 20s popped into my mind. I thought, oh, that's a fun idea.
Yeah, yeah, it's a it's a very compelling piece of work. I'm really happy to have it here. Thank you.
Yeah, it's been hanging up in my dining room wall for, I don't know, 7 or 8 years now.
It's cool. I love the division, like how the shoes are divided. I love the rhythm that it creates with the 4 different pieces, and there's red in each of them and a little bit of the landscape in each of them as well. It's really,
Well, they were all screwed together. They were all screwed together in one piece when I painted it. And then after I finished painting it, I just thought, oh, it would look more interesting if there was space between them.
wow, how interesting. And if you come to the MAC to see this exhibit, and I really ask you to, then, or encourage you to, then I would say that you'll find that there's a few pieces where that's the case as well, where there's multiple panels and there's a continuum between the different pieces. Thank you, Graham. Michael, we're going to focus now on a couple people who aren't here briefly. The Best Route by John Williams. It's a collage and it's very compelling. And then opposite on the wall over there is an abstract by Marion Keeler. And Marion has 2 pieces in the exhibit. And she wrote, for many years as an architect, I engaged with the built environment's impact in human and ecological health. As a painter, I investigate how human activities impact landscapes, changing them from their natural and balanced conditions. My work centers around aerial imagery of industrial accidents, extreme weather, and scarred landscapes. What unifies these themes is their sense of movement, intense and yet fleeting. Working in an abstract, expressive form to transmit movement and directionality, I use brushstroke. Thank you. I use brushwork and poured or pooled fluid paint to provide an aerial view, flattened yet layered. I work primarily in acrylic, but use elements such as charcoal, graphite, collage, and metal leaf in many paintings. For the viewer, I want the experience of my paintings to engage a temporal process of being drawn into the surface of the canvas by color and compositional movement, gradual coming to understand the implications of the subject matter. I want the viewer to feel a physical pull into the canvas as enveloped by the headiness of color and movement as I am during the painting process. The pieces that are hung in this show present concepts of climate change and the transient fleeting movement each captures, as they call to mind the potential for adaptation and mitigation of extreme weather effects. The paintings embody a sense of physicality and motion that I've tried to capture in the era of our changing climate. And there's one more right back there, another green one right there. All right, and this piece is called Bend in the River by Marianne Keeler, $2,300. And the other one was called Icelandic Pools, $2,500. And right next to Marianne's work, because we're here, is Wind and Sky. Actually, it's Wind and Sky by Elena Zavrankova. Archival digital prints, each one $250 but unframed. And these are lovely, lovely photographs. And we're always so happy to have Yelena's work here. She's a consistent exhibitor at MAC. She has another piece in another part of the gallery. But I'm going to switch from Yelena, unless Yelena, does Yelena want to speak? No? Okay, so we'll move to Alana Clearlake, who you all are familiar with. And these are 4 pieces from her White album, each selected specifically because they had a lot of movement in them. They're made out of felted wool and paper, and they include such elements as air plants and devil's claw seed pods and dentilium. And on the other side of the room, there's one that has pansies in it. and another one that includes color in it. Very compelling work always by Alana. I mean, notice the texture here. And then the colors in this one. And these shapes, and they all seem to be kind of like creatures in movement, and they're vessels. Opposite, Alana has two other pieces here. One is an enamel and the other is a watercolor. The watercolor is called The Arc of a Life, and the enamel, I cannot remember at the moment what it's called, but as always, it's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful work. Come on down and check out Alana's work among everybody else, because it would be great to purchase some of her work right now. This would be a perfect time for that. What can I say? And she could use the support, and we always want to support our Alana. Summer, are we ready to go to Darren Jekyll? Because we're right near his work. Darren, are you ready for us to come to you?
I think I'm on mic and I think I'm on camera. And I see
Yes.
some work.
Okay, great. So again, because of the echoes and all of that, we're going to have Darren talk about his work. I'm not going to ask a lot of questions because of the echo effect. So Darren, what can you tell us about this alternative facts series? Mind you, I want to just point out Darren's handwriting here. It's extremely strong. And it shows up in all of his work. We have 5 pieces here of his at the moment. So Darren, what can you tell us about the alternative facts series?
Okay, quickly, I just want to say you're doing so great, Lisa, and I really enjoy the way the MAC is like kind of pushing some new boundaries of like exhibiting some interesting things. The 2 pieces in front of us were kind of done a year ago, and they were they weren't one-offs, they were maybe 4-offs, and I gessoed some paper, and I had some underpaintings going on canvas, and I pushed the gesso paper against the canvases and twirled them, and then just kind of set them out on the studio, and it kind of created a really cool background where I was inspired mostly to do wildflowers for some reason. It was spring, and I liked the way I liked, I'm not really sure. Sometimes I just go with impulses, and I love nature so much, and it was kind of a cool abstract expressionism exercise. Alternative facts was written, though I've kind of subnamed them different things. Like there's one of the Great Wave by the famous Japanese thing with Fuji view, and what?
Hosaki, something like that.
Yeah, that's right. And the other one is I wrote Wilder Flowers. Alternative facts was in the news. There was so much intensity of political intensity last year around January and February, and elections and everything. It was almost like, how could you not start as an artist, start painting American flags and writing alternative facts on your art? And so be it. There's a little bit of references to like Barbara Kruger. I got a little bit of political there. All right.
Great. Thank you so much for your words. Darren, we so appreciate having your work here. Michael, if you would do like a pan from here to there to one of Darren's lithographs, and there's another one on the opposite side of the room here. This is where you can really see Darren's handwriting and the strength of his marks. Darren, did you want to add anything in speaking about that? Lithography is like a drawing process on a stone.
Lithography,
And
lith-
it enables and allows us to, as artists, to like draw and preserve that drawing and make multiple copies. What would you like? Can you share anything with us about the process of making the lithos?
lithography is a really um, an amazing process where you have these like ancient fossil rocks, and you like groom them, but you polish them with this like really cool equipment and this really neat process. And you become one with the stone, and then you draw on it. You do weird things with like wax and fat and chemicals, and it's a process where you can roll ink on it. It just sticks like crazy, and it makes such stark, bold, incredible images. It's really powerful. It's probably definitely my favorite printing process. That one's called Pure Arbor, and that sort of references the mother tree or something.
Thank you so much. I wanted to show the audience right now also the continuum that we have here from Darren's work, specifically this one, right? Well, here we have these rhythmic marks as well. But then this is Yelena's other photograph called Morning. And you can see the rhythmic marks on this one as well. And then here's Alana's Arc of Life, and you can see the rhythm and repetition of these are birds here, and how these all connect to each other in their own way. Also the mountains. This one also looks like it's influenced by Hasakai a little bit. So thank you so much, Darren. And I think we're going to go to Nara Wood right now, if she's here. Is Nara around? We're going to do a station break. Can you find out if Nara Wood is in the back, please? And we're going to do a little station break. I'm going to introduce Amanda Martin. Amanda Martin, the president and chair of Middletown Art Center. And also Mary Wilson, would you come here because you happen to be here as well? This is Mary Wilson. This is our cross-cultural specialist and also board member. These are my friends and colleagues in making the MAC continuum continue. So Amanda, just a few words if you would like.
Well, thank you for this impromptu opportunity. It's really a wonderful show tonight. I think we're all kind of in awe and taking in every piece that we can. Well, being the chair of the board, I have to plug our activities on the board. Mary serves with us. And we actually have some elections coming up in April. So we're going to be starting a recruitment effort to bring on more board members. So if anybody's interested in serving on the board with us, we would appreciate you reaching out. So you can find our our emails on the website. Mary, you want to say anything?
No. Plug the weaving project for 1 second. I already plugged it. But you can
Yeah,
plug it
so
again.
we have a project going on right now called Weaving. Next week, Saturday, we have a basket weaving class with Corinne Pierce. She is currently on display in the D. Young Museum in the Pomo exhibit. And then next week, Sunday on the 16th, we have a lecture by
Jacob Metter.
Jacob Metter.
I'm excited.
Yeah,
Yes,
I'm so excited for that. Yeah.
Yes.
And what you should know also about Corinne is that she's like nationally acclaimed. If you go on our website, middletownartcenter.org/weaving, or just click on the weaving button, it will lead you to a video about Corinne and a video about Jacob, so you can get to know these people who we are collaborating with to make this happen. Our hearts are like melting over this, all three of us. It's such an awesome project, and we're learning so much. So yeah, it's wonderful. Anyway, check it out, middletownartcenter.org/weaving. It's an amazing opportunity for us to learn more about the people who have always been here, and the culture and the the wonder of pomo basketry and pomo cultural arts, because they are some of the best baskets in the world. In fact,
They're considered the best baskets in the world. They are considered the best baskets in the world.
and that's from right here, folks. So, okay, all right, we're going to go now to Nara Wood's work. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Amanda, for this little station break. We're going to go to Nara Wood's work, which is, it's actually right here, so you don't have a whole lot of depth of field to work with it. So Nara, tell us about the materials that you decided to work on here, because it's the materials of this piece in particular are pretty interesting. And here we go. There we go. Okay. And they're interesting, and also they all go together. They're kind of Japanese in feel also, both the work itself and also the materials that you used. Well, this is Japanese paper, in fact. So tell us a little bit about your approach to painting and your choice of materials, please.
I've always been really moved by watercolor and the way the medium moves on paper. And I find that it's actually quite a bit different on the silk, which was my other, I do it on both paper and silk. And I moved to the silk because it's a different process than painting on paper. It absorbs the paint differently, it moves differently. So it's just it's a different way of painting. But I also love the way that the silk is translucent and three-dimensional textural, and the way that the light comes through the silk and passes through the painting creates a different kind of luminescence than it would on paper, and a kind of a softer quality to the whole painting. And I've been, one of my main inspirations is Japanese art and painters and woodblock prints. And that's my heritage as well. And I've always been drawn to that kind of material. And I created my own style, but very much informed by the masters of the Japanese art scene, and spent a lot of time looking at, observing, copying, learning their brush strokes and techniques, and then kind of used that knowledge to create my own work, which a lot for me is about color and movement and light.
Nice. Very lovely. I find it really interesting also, like, just to make like a quick little leap to contemporary technology, because, you know, we call color, like in the traditional sense of the word, of adding colors together, is actually called subtractive color. And then additive color is what they do on a printer. It's like layers of color, but projected color is the stuff that the computer has, that has the luminosity behind it. And basically the way that you were talking about silk reminds me of projected color.
It does to me too. And a lot of times I've actually hung the silk farther out, and it makes a different effect.
I bet.
You know, the farther out you hang it from the background.
Yeah, I bet. That would be pretty interesting. Let's play with that too. Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Michael, come here. We've covered pretty much everyone here. I think that, oh, we have Richard Vargas left. So let's go in the small room first while you're moving. Oh, and also Helen Kate McAllister. Okay, so these are Helen Kate McAllister's paintings. She works with a very like automatic kind of approach, you know, subconscious, letting the subconscious coming through, kind of Jungian. These are lovely, and they go so well with Casey's work, which is also so expressive and visceral, and has so many memories in it. And Richard's work is extremely deliberate. And I'm sorry he's not here tonight, and I'm sure he has a fabulous reason why he's not here. But you must come and see his work, and I promise I will get a video of him talking about the imagery that he uses in his work, because there's so many components to it and so many stories that we can tell ourselves by reading the work. So this is called The Shimmering Sounds of Faith, and it was finished in 2021, and it's selling now for $5,000. And against the wall over here, we have two pieces. We have two pieces here. Slow movements of disaster and the silence of everything that moves also for 5,000 and 4,500. And again, the imagery is really strong. And we want to know, it makes you so curious, like, what is these patterns? What did they mean to him? What is the math? Somebody before spoke about math. What is the math in these that he's trying to convey? What does the monkey mean? What does the clown mean? What do all these things mean? This is like a kind of Aztec sort of character. What do the fish mean? What does the wine mean? Most likely, maybe fish, bread, wine, maybe something to do with religion. I'm not sure. I would like to hear from Richard about these, but also the continuum of these grids. Really interesting stuff here. And the crown of thorns, this, there's definitely a lot of religious sort of, which are cultural in Latinx or Mexican culture specifically. I've noticed that Catholicism really melds into the culture. So very interesting to find out more about these pieces from Richard himself. And I promise that we'll interview him on another occasion and get more information from him. Next to those are another piece that I just completed, also from mud. And it's called The Space Between. And it's about relationship. And the woman is kind of genie-like. And this is made from mud that, again, I harvested from my backyard. And if you come here, then you'll see that they're slightly different colors. And that's also a way of referring to the multicultural, multicolorism of people on this planet. People on this earth that are made out of earth, that are made out of trees, that are made out of the basic elements of what's around us, and all of the relationships in between us and the positive and negative spaces I hope to convey in the space between. And that's actually it for this evening. We finished our round. Everybody has been acknowledged here this evening. There may be a couple of little pieces in the back. Karen Magnuson's work I spoke about before. She's not on tonight, is she? She has another lovely etching called, I think it's The Faces of Evening. And it's a lovely etching. And I highly recommend you come down here to see this exhibit. It's refreshing. And there's a little canoe up there on the top that I made as well out of mud and burlap and manzanita. I always use manzanita and I harvest that from my backyard. I have manzanita and I prune very consciously and carefully. And I also have several different colors of mud in my backyard, but there's so much beauty in the mud around us, folks. Just look at the earth. It's gorgeous. We are so blessed to have so many colors of earth right around us, and to just notice them, appreciate them, and understand that the earth contains the past, present, and the future. And that's why I choose it as my medium, because it contains the past, present, and future. And also it is an insignia of place, this place here, and space and time. Okay, well, I just did my own little speech about my work. So anyway, we're so glad that you came to join us this evening. And we hope you'll come and join us in your own good time here at the MAC, and come and see and feel the exhibit, because it's way better in person than on video. But we hope that you had an awesome time tonight. And thank you all so much for being with us tonight from the bottom of our hearts. Please continue to support the MAC by being here, by donating, by becoming a member, and give the gift of art to Lake County by supporting the MAC. Give the gift of art to yourself by coming over here and just taking it all in. Thank you so much, and good night.